period of time, if the unresolved doesn't get dealt with, you'll begin to suffer from trauma to some degree or another, and this will wear away at your mind with increasing impacts on your mind, and you'll start to suffer horrible detrimental effects to yourself by way of the negligence that has developed in the relationship skills of the person that you're with. And you don't want to suffer that. That's not something you should suffer. That's not something you should deal with. If you've asked for resolve and that person is flinching, that's an immediate sign that you're with somebody that's not as invested as you think. It's an immediate sign. And you have been love bombed. You've gone through the love bomb stage and been drawn in, but this person hasn't got the ability to, or interest or value to sustain and continue on with in a healthy way the relationship that you have. They've turned you into a source of supply, and unresolved is the first key to this happening to you. I'm quite amazed actually. There was white caps out here before. I can't see any now. That's 2 days in a row I've come out here because the wind was up and got out here, and the wind's gone away. Nevertheless, that's how it happens all the time when you're trying to push it. And so you do find yourself in tough situations when you haven't seen the signs that this person wasn't really going to be able to make it with you. They just seen you as a good source to meet their needs. They really never, they probably liked you and got used to you and were comfortable with you, but if somebody's not willing to resolve things, that means that they're really not, they really haven't got the faith that you would expect them to have over the period of time that you were with them. And so you find yourself having to make some serious decisions as to what you're going to do, what the best thing for you is. Don't worry about the other person. They're the ones that are, they're buggered it up. They've made their choices, irrespective of where you're at and how you feel. They don't care about how you feel. They probably are just going to wing it now and test your tolerance and patience to see how long you can last under this stress. That will give them a sense of satisfaction because you've now displayed that you're prepared to put up with rubbish to have that person with you, and that will give them a sense of heightened ego, and they'll begin to perceive themselves to be better than what they really are, and your tolerance will begin to be tested to the point where you can't take it anymore, where your patience has worn, and the person will sense this. And when they sense this, you will be given some kind of crazy solution that is contrary to everything that's happened as a means of trying to fix what's going on. And you will be shocked. I've seen this several times. Some really strange decision making, and you'll be shocked, you'll be startled, you'll be mind fucked. I know that's a horrible word to use, but you'll be mind traumatized, and you'll be wondering, how did you allow it to get to this? How did this person get away with being allowed to bring it to this? And you'll wonder, and you'll wrestle, and you'll be questioning, is it me? But you know it's not you, because you've kept your demeanor, your performance, and everything else that's required of you in a relationship. You're actually dealing usually with a triangulated situation, whether it be by way of affair or a family member. This person's split, and you recognize that they're split, and you're in a situation where you're prepared to end the relationship. Their performance hasn't matched what they said, what you've agreed to. They've allowed interferers to come in, and you're pretty well sick and tired of it all. They've shown where their values are, despite your efforts and despite the commitment you've been prepared to show. And thus, consequentially, you end the relationship. Now, that may appear to come as a shock to the person that you're with, but don't fall for that. They've been through this before, they've done it before. They know what the result's going to be. They know how it's going to end and what's fair and what's not fair. They know what their behaviour is. They know where their values lie. But now they know that you won't tolerate things that aren't for your benefit. And so in a way, you're doing that person a favour by showing them people do have value for themselves. Just because they don't have value for themselves, and they'll put up with anything, doesn't mean you will, because you're not the one mistreating that person. They're mistreating you. And you decide that it's time to end the relationship. Simple as that. And so you do. You tell that person to go. If they've got stuff at your place, you tell them to come and collect your stuff and take it, which they will, quite happily usually, because they know. And then you don't hear from that person again, because they know how it works. They've done it before, and you've done it before. They know you're not going to muck around with their garbage and rubbish that they're bunging on. And so they go back to their fold. You continue on with your life. You go through your motions of healing and repair. What they do is none of your business, so don't concern yourself. Too many people get tied up with what that person's doing. Do not worry about what that person's doing. Simple reason being is they're not worried about what you're doing. They prove that by not performing in the relationship. These people aren't stupid. They're calculated. Very calculated. and they know what the consequences of their actions are going to be. We just want to be ignorant. We just want, and we shouldn't be, we just want things to work. Instead of dishing out a jettison. You need to jettison the relationship if it's not working. And that's all there is to it. But people won't do that. They're too scared. I don't know why. Particularly at my age, 57, I just haven't got the time left in my life to be dilly-dallying around with people that are my age, acting like high school brats that don't know what's going on. I haven't got the time or the patience or the need to deal with crap like that. You will find people do deteriorate more than what they last these days. The old-fashioned values are pretty well gone. And if they're alcoholics and drug addicts and medication takers, that's usually going to be an indication that they're not going to last. They're more interested in their habits and enmeshments and being devious and whatnot. They get a thrill out of thinking that they're deceiving you. You have to understand this. They're rebels by nature. But once you become aware of what they're doing, and you reveal to them that you are aware, they soon realize that the game's just about over, that you're not going to tolerate much more. And as I said, they'll come up with some kind of irrational solution and they lose the relationship. You'll need to then go through the rumination, your self-appraisal of possibly where you could have gone better and what you could have done better, by way of the relationship. You have to be accountable and responsible for possibly where you went wrong. It's not all one person. That's not what I'm trying to say here. It's two people in a relationship. Both are accountable. And we're accountable for our part. See, your negligences could have allowed that relationship to get where it is by way of not speaking up about things that weren't right. Okay, your negligence for not speaking up about things could have just prolonged the agony, and you should have said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So that makes you partially, I'm sorry, but partially to blame, because you didn't deal with the matter in the right way. You just let it go on and on, and you shouldn't have. You should have put a stop to it, but you didn't. And this is where a lot of the life coaches and people like this are making their money. They're making the money out of your inability to let go, and your trouble, the psychological trouble it's causing you to let go. And you need to be mindful of the fact that things don't always work. They just don't. And if you can accept that, then if you do come to a point where you have to give in, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot gentler on the mind. You will go through the normal base pain and suffering of a breakup. There is a base level of breakup, but you'll understand that that's going to happen, and you'll be prepared to put the time in to allow that to happen. Some people jump straight into another relationship. That's up to them. I don't recommend that. I just don't think that's fair. I think it's just created a culture of swapping bodies, and it is a way of proving too that the person that you were with was just using you for narcissistic supply to feed their narcissism. Particularly if you're A-grade supply and they realise there's not many people like you around. They will run it for as long as they can. It's just what they do. And you have to be aware that you're not just an object. It's going to be part of their deceitful way of living. You don't want to live that way. You don't want to be that way. You want to build a proper, healthy relationship that produces the kind of results that benefits both people without stress and without undue stress and unnecessary pain. Because that's what a relationship's supposed to be about. So you've watched another session where the wind has died.
Hello, all stations.
Excuse me.
Marine information about bridging operations between Skittle and Lobster Beach. Please listen for CHF channel 67 or 27 megahertz channel 8 for a navigation warning. Changing channel.
Well, that doesn't apply to us. And again, also be careful of what counsel you listen to. Some people are just biased. They want to be on their own and they want you to be on your own. Be very careful about the counsel you're listening to relative to the circumstances that you're in. You want to get it right. But unfortunately today, with the attitude, the characteristic flaws and personality flaws and everything else that these people are able to hide at the beginning of the relationship, usually it will end. And that's all there is to it. The best thing to do at the end is go no contact, unless there's children involved and there's a vital reason why you need to stay in contact with the person. Otherwise, let them go. Just let them go and get on with their life. It's no longer your business. And that's all there is to it as we come in. The wind just didn't favour us today. Thank you for joining me, viewers. There's the sun. I'm sorry about that. The wind just dropped. It was white capping before. We will get out there and we will get into it when the wind comes up next time. This is Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.